After an overtime affair in map number 1, we have the pretty opposite result. Map number 2, Hikikomori much more comfortable on their own selection, building up a lead that was just too insurmountable for the couple of mistakes that we saw from TV. So we're going to get into map number 3, Haven, the decider here. Another, obviously, 3-site map, but it feels very different than Lotus. I don't know why I'm telling you guys this at home. You guys already know this. You're experts. I think the question mark here is, again, going to just come down to the simple fact that we've seen too many mistakes from TV, just not being able to build those late round protocols or some of those mid round adaptations after they've already largely found first bloods.
Yeah, I think that that's going to be where we got our eyes on, right? It feels like Hikikomori have just had a bit more quick thinking on their feet when it comes down to being dynamic on these maps, making those changes when necessary. And for Lotus, it was a story of, I think, a little bit too much respect on that initial first half out of the side of TV. We didn't see that typical Rubble control that you go for. And it's not that you have to contest Rubble, consistently on Lotus. But with the way that Hikikomori were doing that scouting in the mid-round with the drone, and then also just kind of slowly using less and less to take that Rubble space, it was something that TTV didn't quite clue into until a little bit later on into the map, and by then Hikikomori had garnered quite a nice lead there on the defensive side.
How about Sia? 21-14 in map number 2. Currently through 2, 41-33 plus 8 with 73% cast. So Sia's everywhere, and a lot of it in this last round was Sia on an island. I mean, we kind of talked about that on Ascent, like a number of clutch rounds that the first blood had been tallied by TV, but Sia fills a gap and turns it into multi-kill after multi-kill. This round, or this map rather, I should say, a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more as expected, but still a major presence so far, as Sia has without question kind of been MVP here on this series.
Yeah, honestly, it felt like, she kind of was slowly warming up into this matchup. Still put out great numbers, 20 and 19, I think, on our first map on Ascent, but had a quieter beginning before ramping up to that number, which is huge to be able to, come back from a deficit when you're not performing super well, and then to completely kind of take over the server in the first half of Lotus was insane, because we were looking at that 21 kills and 14 deaths, but realistically it was 17 and 6 in that first half, and it felt like they completely had the read on TV. Sia was in everybody's heads. The timings were impeccable with a lot of the swings that they were going for, and even just a lot of those lurk opportunities coming through as well. And on a map like Haven, where you are going to have a little bit more of that freedom, especially expecting Sia to be playing on that cipher on this map as well, I cannot wait to see her continue to, I guess, move forward with this type of performance. And I also have my eyes on Shift TV to be heads up about that, aware of the fact that on the side of Hikikomori, you've always got Sia or Eri going for a backstop.
Yeah, it feels like to kind of throw a summary on it in a few amount of words. For Sia, it's just let her cook. What do you want? You want to play at an island on defense? Great. You want to go lurk on your own on offense? Great. Haven is perfect to allow Sia to essentially do whatever they want to do. So that's kind of the indication of what we've gotten to this point, at least by that solo POV. The other side of things is Colby has looked really good on Duelist as well. 43-32 so far through 2 maps. The first blood battle has also been pretty solid. I mean, 8 and 11. So again, being very active. I think the thing, as you look to the other side, and let's just change the story to TV coming back after the 13-7 loss. Where do you find your success in Haven? And I think I look no further than NUI, who was 10-4 in first blood to first death ratio on Ascent. And we saw it kind of at the end of it, the first blood battle continued to pop up in favor of TV. It was just a couple of follies in 3v2 moments where they were getting clutched on that sent us to overtime in the first place. So I think if you're looking at this from Haven, you got to keep having the conversation alive that whatever NUI wants to play, we're going to try to set them up as best as humanly possible, because in terms of an entry is concerned, they've been unbelievable. I mean, 14-9, still +5 after that last map was not nearly as successful for them. So that's where my storyline goes to. Sia on one side as the lockdown agent, NUI on the other as the successful entry that TV has been relying on, especially when they were in Ascent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even on Lotus, where NUI maybe didn't have the best stats going out there, they were still doing their job. They were very successfully being that tip of the spear, making space for the remainder of the team. It would just be these moments where I think Hikikimori were very good at playing together into those retake situations and just generally using their utility to their advantage, going for those swings together. And I think that for TV, we do see that as well within those rounds, but we also do see some risk taking that isn't always necessary as well, where you see, you know, some solo fights happening on, you know, agents that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be going on those risky positions because they tend to be more on like the supportive side. So I'm looking forward to seeing things to really tighten up here for Haven, especially considering we're going to see a difference in tempo here as well, right? For Hikikimori, Colby has been a menace to be dealt with, I think, with, you know, forward positioning and whatnot, and now we'll just get that opportunity to even run further amok on the Neon.
Yeah, and that is, I think, again, to simplify the differences in agent composition as we look over the top of it, is TV are relying still on NUI to find first blood entries, whereas Colby has been more of a distraction first, engager for the side of Hikikimori. Especially in combination of the breach, you already know what to assume when it comes down to Neon, fault lines, into fast lanes, into quick dives, depending on what information you find from the Sova likely to come through. But for TV, they're the ones starting off on offense. So there is a level, I think, in my mind, of coming out and honestly just hitting the Hikikimori in the mouth. You know, get a good execute, get a good opening set play with the barriers drop, and have NUI established as a major threat early to where you may have to be considering, if you're a Hikikimori, throwing out utility of your own just to try to slow this TV team down. That has to be the case in my mind, though. You have to come out, set the tone, and that starts immediately with this opening pistol, which TV have yet to win one yet.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? The protocoling has been so good for Hikikimori on these pistol rounds. They've been so consistent with cleaning them up. Even when it gets a little bit dicey, for the most part, I feel like they've been pretty clean round wins for them. I'm looking forward to seeing what this look is going to be like here. Could be a risk here for Kaide. I think we saw moments where the lurks just weren't quite panning out, both on Ascent and on Lotus, and kind of getting caught out by some of that aggression. Already all the way up and towards a lobby.
You don't have to worry about this too much, I think, though, if you're TV, just because the trap wire that's behind this play. So you can still commit knowing that you saw utility from at least two different members for Hikikimori defensively at A long. Kaide does find first blood, looking for more, but Angel shuts it down. Quick high gear rotation underway, though, for Hikikimori. Oh, and you lose control of Garage. You can't just walk all willy-nilly like back into it. No, big mistake again for TV. You've got a post plant. You had C-Long control, and now it's all just falling apart, and Colby's going to let him know about it in more ways than one. Quick pistol for Hikikimori.
It just repeats when it comes to those pistol rounds, right? For Hikikimori, the consistency with them. I think maybe TV weren't expecting that garage control to have been garnered so quickly. I'm sure Kaide was making the calls from that window positioning about, you know, the flank that was coming through, and just not expecting the pathing to have gone through into window, maybe expecting them to be coming through those garage doors instead, but that doesn't mean you can just totally neglect that one area. And it feels like the same mistakes that we've seen being repeated across the last two maps with that corner checking once again.
Well, it's not even the corner checking. It's just like, again, the protocol on the flood. You know that three members are playing through A. Heidi gives you information there's more through mid. We have to commit either holding and staying inside a garage as we take it, or giving it up completely and just resetting things over towards C-Long. It's just trying to come back and limp your way to garage against the Neon in particular. It's a big mistake, as this round has opened up quickly for Hikikimori. An initial trade comes through on the long-range battle through C, but another reaffirmation for Hikikimori playing aggressively as they get a lurking kill in towards A main, and Arthur has seen more on this little pixel cross.
Great flash.
Spike down A.
Not as efficient as you'd like, though, Ash. Tell you that much.
Hey, you run out of bullets, you gotta pull out the ghost, but now it's doable here. TTV have a great opportunity to try and even convert this eco round for themselves. Paranoia, ready and available. Manages to catch one. Nice tuck into the corner at the very least.
counter on the way. Airy just with the Guardian, though. This is a tough check, especially against Spectre. Corner, looking for a pixel to peek, and not going to happen. And that's one way to get back into this one. TV finding themselves a thrifty in the anti-eco, and that's going to completely reset all the momentum and honestly just all of the economy that we usually get here in Valorant.
Yeah, an immediate response from them. I think something, again, to keep an eye out for is we've talked consistently about the defensive-sided aggression of HAKI, both on Ascent and on Lotus. I think, honestly, I would understand if TTV were even, you know, a bit frustrated at times, kind of going head-to-head with that, because there are moments where HAKI, you would not expect them to be pushed up that far, or at least, like, not that particular player. Again, the initiators will even run up sometimes. Colby not even necessarily in sight, and really able to catch them off guard with a lot of those timings, but a great opening. Punish some of that aggression that we were just talking about.
Weapon advantage for TV has been tested in the past, to put it plainly. And this way, HAKI, they can actually avoid this trap wire and go a bit unnoticed on this long route. You don't need to delete this, though. You just keep moving through. You're going to get the read here that the play is on over towards C. No defender in place, but there is a secondary trap wire in the way to keep C long safe, and that's going to be an obstacle that Arthur's going to have to decide how they want to play with it. Yeah, try to duck underneath it, but no, that head's a little too big.
Hey, might as well try. Just sneak around after all. Just applying a little bit more of that pressure, though. But again, HAKI, I think something that we've seen consistently from them as well on these ecos is just running down the clock. They don't feel the pressure like they have to actually go for that round win. They're more than happy to keep TV contained and take weapons out of their hands.
Shoulder seen. What is that shot from Airy? Game changer Sheriff, my friends. We need the skin. 2025 is the year we make an app. See ya, another. We'll try to find one more. It's Leah at range. Pixel peek not there, and Sia is actually just going to hold their life for a little while longer and then eventually sacrifice for the detonation. So around again for TV, but still not maybe as clean as you'd like on the exit.
That goes there.
Something that I think HAKI have been good again at repeating as far as one of their protocols when they are on those ecos. Now for TV, it's about trying to make the most out of this advantage that they have. They've got Irene just one away from that Rolling Thunder. They've really been, I think, prioritizing getting the orb online for that and securing that plant to cycle up the ultimate as early as possible into these rounds. Trying to immediately deny some of that space to be taken from HAKI over towards A lobby. And that long smoke actually forces out that drone really early on from HAKI.
That's fine. I think that's just to make sure that Colby is not going to be overwhelmed by themselves. So smokes will dissipate. Hit now starts to come through towards Barrage. Trap wire deleted, and Sia will say, Sia, gonna play the backside of the site.
Locating targets.
See if they can maybe have an angle to follow up if one of these trap wires do get triggered. But the stealth drone will confirm the site is pretty much wide open, and the defense will have to make a play over as the flash dash is in. And UI, yeah, really well done over the top. What a shock dart! I don't know how that hit, but it must have caught center mass, and now all of a sudden Leah's in a bit of a battle here at Garage by themselves, trying to get away, trying to save their lives, and we'll just be able to find an exit, and we'll go 4v4.
Call the run out as well with the judge.
Ew!
Hey, repeats of what we saw on that Waylay pick on Ascent.
That's disgusting. Rolling Thunder should boop off, but Arthur gets this to halfway. Angel also making sure Garage stays safe. Irene will have to do this from the front. Good spam on the spike position. Can you get more? It's still halfway. They don't have the angle! And Arthur, who was able to get the spike to halfway before the Rolling Thunder, sticks it for the Red Bull clutch, and it's just another round that TV are going to be sitting there saying, damn it.
Yeah, when you really can't believe ends up going the other way. It feels like HAKI are so good at stealing those right from under the noses of TV. Those little mistakes end up mounting just higher and higher, and it's rounds like that that allow HAKI to continue to build up that confidence that it always feels like they're brimming with in the first place.
Just another one that deflates you if you're TV, though. Oh, gosh. And now we're starting to lose a bit of full relay bolt out. Colby will get back to safety, and it's a free first blood. And TV have no A-long control. Again, it's just, I feel like we're starting to see, it's just, I won't say one-dimensional, but it is very the same. You know, same trapwire setup, same approach towards garage. And HAKI Mori are just adapting. They're saying, all right, they're looking like they're playing for garage control. Let's just get aggressive, put a shotgun there, and that wins the round probably.
I think it's been a consistent struggle on the attacking side for TV, though.
Yeah, yeah.
It really does lack that depth at times. You can see, you know, they have a general idea of how they want to approach a lot of these rounds. A lot of the micro plays do end up looking quite nice at times too, and especially when it comes down to some of those like utility combinations. But when it comes to like, I think the macro map control, they've kind of struggled with how HAKI Mori are playing that push and pull and finding an answer to that.
Well, this is going to be an interesting retake situation because TV have gotten through B connector and they've got heaven control. So Hunter's Fury would have to be utilized to clear off the connector and this top heaven position. High Gear is in play with the overdrive. Running forward, Colby sees one. But again, how much can you really do? But what is that angle from Angel? How do you hit the head there? So now you've got sight in your position. Spam spots for Irene not going to fully work out. Colby's going to stick for the defuse. Is anyone going to be able to stop this? Oh no! Nizu gets everything but the one on the spike. You've got to be kidding me.
Just body shields everywhere on the side of HAKI Mori. You have 3 players to protect Colby on that defuse. And that's got to be heartbreaking for TV. Everything was going well until it was going completely wrong. And to get that close, to have it still taken right out from under you, again, has got to be another nail in the coffin.
Oh, it's so painful. Hurts your soul. And the Hunter's Fury is still ready if Arthur wants it. I'll drone just again to check over towards A-Long. They'll see what they need, which is NUI. A little bit of concern about what's happening over through sewer, but the stealth drone is still denied, and HAKI Mori are just going to back up and have to essentially play for retake here at A, at least most likely with the threat that's starting to be established. Angel's going to see what they can get, though, holding inside of sight. No way.
Just like a moment of, was that throwing the knife out there as well for the reposition, trying to hop back sight. With the neural theft to be coming through though here for Kaide, gives that information on the positioning of defenders. He's able to maintain this mid lurk here as well, just to apply that passive pressure before regrouping with the rest of the team.
And again, you got to keep in mind that there was a mid-round lurk kill from Kaide, so the defense is feeling really antsy about how they want to set up this retake, and it's going to lean towards them trying to full flood in through connector, and there's just not enough here. Irene will put it away, and TV will keep us at a tie. It's just one of those things that, again, and I promise you, friends, I'll get off this point, but TV's going to be feeling like they should be 5-1 up right now, legitimately.
Yeah, that is the tough part of this. At the very least, you know, give them the boon of the fact that they break the economy right now. You know, there are 4 ultimates available here for HAKI Mori, but unlikely to see those actually being pulled through unless they're able to get 1 to 2 picks in advantage over TV and try and use those to even shift the round into their favor onto a Thrifty. As we're dealing with this tech pause, though, for TV, this round, they want it to be clean, considering those 2 that you were talking about, they let slip out from under them, knowing that HAKI Mori are on an eco round here as well. They're trying to build up their own economy on the side of TV and try to get things really started here on the attack.
Yeah. I think there's a level, and this is one of those things I think as commentators, at least I do this every now and again. I kind of hate myself every time I do it. You would think I would learn, but no, I'm still going to do it. It's like you get these mental taxing rounds that I think can really weigh on you when it comes to making decisions in the future. Like where you're doing everything right. You've got a solid plant. You're putting yourself into what the post plant you want. It looks good. You're setting yourself up for success. And then when it starts to get foiled like it has for TV, that plays on you. And I think it's going to affect your decision making a little bit later on. So coming off the tech pause, I think you just got to stick to your guns here if you're TV. You got to trust that these openings have looked really solid for you. You know that you still have an edge in the eco. Just don't get too willy-nilly. Don't get too loosey-goosey. Other things that rhyme as you make your way into round 7.
I like this contact play. Bit of a shift inside of TV. Not looking to telegraph this hit. Pass Ash on. Still will be that flank incoming on the side of Hikikomori. Sure, might even cut through mid just to look to regroup with the team, play those numbers instead. But again, you're looking for this to be a clean round. I'm surprised that we're seeing this fallback actually for most players to be playing over towards long.
Yeah, but you got the Rolling Thunder. I think if things get really weird, it might get really weird because that's a weapon collection for Colby. And they have a spy cam that stayed alive on site, keep in mind. So they're going to know that this is a split post-plant setup. NUI is in trouble playing over towards logs with low HP. Here comes the swing. Fault line out. That actually does hit the cloudburst. Keeps NUI out of line of sight. Tide able to get 2. NUI shakes off the stun. And Irene is going to give a little bit of love back to Sender as Colby was the instigator initially and now is catching all the hate.
Okay, nice round there from TV. Very least. I guess to be fair, you know, with the Rolling Thunders, I didn't expect it to be thrown out by Hikikomori. They didn't end up using it, but they probably sent, you know, several people along just in case Hikikomori decided to go for that fast flood. You know, just for a little bit of a safety reason there. But another little game crash here on the side of this matchup, and that's why we're heading into a tech pause. I promise you guys that we will be back quite soon, but for now you got to continue to hear us, you know, waffle over this standstill.
It's a bold promise, Ash. I've seen a thing or two, and I wouldn't make that promise that we'll be back soon. But the storylines continue to kind of write themselves here. You know, I think especially looking at the scoreboard in a more elongated way, Mizu's 10-3, and with a stat line like that, where NUI has not necessarily provided the same kind of entry success that we were really framing up, at least I was really framing up as we were looking at the stats for the first 2 maps, you'd be sitting here thinking that TV should be pretty comfortable. And again, like, their executes have been better, to say it. I mean, maybe marginally, but still better nonetheless. You've been able to get the spike down more often than you had been kind of per capita in rounds that have been played to this point. It's just the follies in the post-plant decision-making is what I think is one of those. It's one of those things that, like, as much as it's going to weigh on you in this round and this match, it's very, I think, easy to go back, relook at those moments, and then set your protocols based on the mistakes that you see in retrospect. So, like, again, like, setting up the longevity of, like, where are we establishing TV and Hikikomori right now? I think TV's in a really good spot in terms of their ability to be competitive in this game changer stage without question. The individual skill is there. The executes have been a little lackluster. The post plants have been a little bit faulty, but those are things you can look at, I think, especially because Hikikomori has given you a lot of tests. You know, anti-eco rounds that just get a little bit too close. 3v5s that get a little bit too close. Like, you can talk about those things with good evidence. Whereas Hikikomori, I'm loving what I'm seeing. Like, from top to bottom, I think that they had a chance, obviously, to put this thing away in 2, but what we're starting to put together and, like, how they've capitalized on their opponent's mistakes is something that we always look for in terms of, like, a difference between a good team and a great team.
Oh, for sure. I think that's absolutely true. I think that for a lot of those adaptations that you're talking about, it just takes TV a little bit longer to get those reads and to figure out how they want to look to approach some of those counters. And I do want to say that it also comes from a difference, I think, in experience as well. When you look at the rosters for both these squads, right? On the side of TV, for the most part, these are players who are either new to competition, or if they've competed, you know, years in the past, it really isn't to the same degree as the side of Hikikomori, where yes, you do have some players that are new to competition as well, but then you also have players like Angel and Colby who have been around the scene for a while and have had a lot of that experience that they get to bring to the table and kind of help elevate the rest of the team to that level there as well. Yeah,
I love that point. Experience, veterancy, as we're now into a good competitive history of what Game Changers has provided is definitely important. So, great point there. Other updates as we're jumping out of the tech pause. Again, Wadada 2-0, Shopify Rebellion 2-0, FlyQuest already up 1-0, OVK already up 1-0. So, couple of matches that have come through quickly as the Hunter's Fury is going to kick us off here for Arthur. Not even blindly as well. That was pretty well found. He actually finds a tag onto another. So good utility spend early for the defense of Hikimori and early pressure on the TV playing a 4v5.
Tripwire destroyed.
Right now, Sia sure on an island, but still maintaining control of Heaven here, not looking to get caught out on sight by the rest of the squad. And you even have, you know, the flank incoming there as well. There's no tripwire watching that A lobby push either. They are aware of it. Kaide looking to spot over towards lobby at the very least. A nice response. Irene's just waiting for the information necessary. Get the timing on that Rolling Thunder.
Recon Dart does reveal onto Irene though. Kaide still not in a position to find this long alert. Aftershock bullets that are not going to be spent, and the value that the Aftershock finds is unbelievable. And Colby says, hey, how you doing? Slides on in for a double with the judge. Flawless round, third of its kind for Hikimori in this series to this point.
I mean, it's such a perfect flood. You just get a little bit ahead of it there as well, and then the pressure that was being put onto that flank, Kaide just didn't really have anywhere that she was able to go. Stuck over towards long, gets smoked out, tries to help the rest of the team, and then you've got two players that aren't quite caught by that ultimate, looking to actually find the frags on people flooding out from sight, and that's the timeout to be called here by TV as things are all tied up.
And this is a good time for one, because it's another one of those moments that, yeah, it's a 4v5, the post plant is fragile, especially considering that Colby was just able to burst right past a lobby and I think go unnoticed. But it's still one of those things that, like, as we start to continue to see these little breakdowns and setups, whether it be on the initial executes from the offensive perspective, or in this instance, you know, the ability or inability to get yourself even remotely a competitive post plant in that 4v5, we got to start talking about, like, okay, what are we doing here? Because the first half or first quarter, if you want to talk about it, of this game has largely been TV bursting through garage onto C. Now we're starting to see them try to pull the defense around, get a little bit of influence over towards A, but we're really not finding the value there. So do we continue to go back to the same setup that we had in the first handful of rounds, where most of our wins had come from, which is a large majority of C hits? Or can we find ways to try to, like, keep Hikimori on their heels? Because so far it still feels like the defense have been able to kind of control the timings and tempo of this game.
Yeah, I think that's a big part in, you know, Colby's been so good, again, at applying that pressure early on from that defensive-sided aggression, something that's been repeated in the identity of Hikimori throughout the last two maps that we saw before this. And then I think what I want to see from TV is maybe a little bit more aggression into the post plant. I feel like they look to sit back, they try to play their crossfires, but Hikimori, they have plenty of opportunities and options when it comes to that util to actually break those setups up.
Well, timing here is everything. Colby should have had a freebie, but pushed aside. So a first blood through mid-map. Trying to follow up on the isolation. Is Sia not going to happen? And this is one of those rounds you just cannot afford to let get anywhere near out of hand. Aries going to step up and hear a lot of this rotation through the offensive spawn, so Angel can rotate over to try to put a contest over, but the lurk is just going to be so difficult to read, and the timing through the defensive spawn, well, you thought might be a freebie, but no, and now there's a chance here for a 2v4 post plant.
Yeah, still a lot of util available, though. Both flashes for Angel, and you've got the paranoia here for Larry as well. But with the shallow corner check, it's just not going to happen. Angel's better off looking to save one of these weapons going into the next round.
Flash is okay. You could probably give this another try.
I mean, you're not winning the round, that's for sure. But
Probably
you do know that Hikimori love to do a bit of econ damage to the other team if they can.
Okay, there we go. Much cleaner. And it all just starts off with island pick with the Hikimori trying something different of the defense, just taking a walk down through mid, a little bit of aggression through garage as well to try to retract on that play. Doesn't work out. So light armors will have to be purchased here for a Hikimori, but you do have the overdrive at the ready. Where on the flip side, Armageddon Blades, really nothing else to speak of. I mean, the real theft, sure, but in terms of opening up and winning a round, you're looking mostly to see those impactful ultimates, and in a round where there's largely light armors, you don't assume that a Hikimori are going to be looking for the overdrive in this round.
I really do love, you know, the approach that TV took after that timeout as well. Just looking to play this default, which, you know, they do play consistently, but it was completely silent the round before. Because I feel like Hikihimori, they're very responsive with that ebb and flow as far as that push and pull that they like to play when they gain control, shift back on the other side of the map. The lurk to come through. Kaide does hear the camera, just doesn't quite spot it yet. Doesn't see her either. It's just on the other side.
And this is another one of those moments that for TV, it's like, do we want to use a lurk through A? Or is this a feel out and we're going to execute? I mean, you hear the cam. Doesn't see anything yet. And if you would kill this out of the picture, maybe there's a chance here to kind of surprise the hit onto A. But now the slowdown is in. Throw trap wires on site to stop any scaling deep into hell. And a lurk is on the way. Colby's already taken away mid-map. I mean, this is going to be another tough commitment here for TV.
Well, flank still being watched at the very least here. NUI, one keeping an eye on that. But it's tough. That tripwire even mid-sight is still up.
Nice shot. That helps a lot. Now you can keep the focus forward here if you're TV on this post plan. Aftershock flushes out hell. Follow up to make sure Heaven stays safe. A little battle of good and bad right now as Arthur will find one but not be able to stay inside the site. And now we save. Yeah, there's not enough time to commit for this retake. And TV will go up 6-4 as we head to round 11.
Great looks post timeout on the side of TV. Great adjustments, I think, to their attack side approach. Looking to punish some of those pushes coming through. Find better timings even for Kaide on those lurks there as well. While the rest of the team kind of does that scouting on the other side of the map. Draws a bit of that attention away. And just looking for a little bit more of that kind of weak site. They know if the full Cypher setup's over towards that A side, it'll be that solo anchor situation. The rest of the team spread further apart. Now it's about the response. Hikihimori, this time the ones to call the timeout. You do have that overdrive available. This is a doable round here for Hikihimori, considering the save that they managed to pull off.
Yeah, especially, and not just the save, but overdrive a part of it. So there's definitely tools. Sia will have to kind of navigate what type of weapon they want. We're on the other side. We're getting close to that Rolling Thunder Armageddon combination, which could be instrumental towards TV not just winning this next round, but coming away convincingly in the first half on offense. And again, it's like in the face of just looking at the timeline, like round 4, round 5 are winnable, if not arguably should have been won for TV. So I imagine, again, they're sitting here thinking we should be up huge. So if you can come away with this half 8-4, you're still going to be feeling really positive about it, but this round is a critical one, without question, for both these two teams, because it's still winnable for Hikihimori with the overdrive. And if you can win this one, reset the eco, you have a chance to come away with a 6-6 tie, which would feel like a blessing considering how the half has gone.
Absolutely. I do think that on the side of TV, though, even though you're mentioning, you know, you might be sitting there thinking, you know, we should be up. That's also not the mentality that you want to have when you do lose those rounds, even though it is true. That they were very winnable rounds. They were important rounds for them. You want to be able to kind of like look forward instead. It's just a little bit better as far as like that mental game goes, to continue to be able to push forward, take it one round at a time.
Ooh, Airy again, which is kind of throwing some soft shoulders over towards the C connector here at B. And UI avoids the aftershock. Paranoia cutting through. It's a lot of utility spent for the defense, especially considering that they spent a ton to get Colby in position with the Bucky at A lobby. So now the hit is over towards C. Defense is starting to wrap on over. You have to be convincing with this decision if you're TV. You cannot just flaunt and tiptoe your way into the site. You've got to find a setup here before the defense can get in position. And Leah stops the lurk. And that might be a round-winning play as it's just Angel. Last one left.
Spike planted.
To dash in the smoke.
What?
It's a 1v2. Fault line and flash available here, Shift.
What a snap to respond to the dash in. Couple of footsteps heard over towards garage. There's the toggle. Armageddon gets called. Stealth thrown out. Reveal is in, and Angel doesn't have an angle. Now you got to go back and really put pressure onto the spike again. Kaide, good for 1, and that'll be enough for the damage to be followed up on, and TV will get up to 7 and cause some concern here for Hikihimori trying to find full purchase in the last round of the half.
Despite that insane 2K coming out from Angel, that was a great round that we saw from TV. pivot over towards that C site, especially with the lurk that we had from Leah over towards window. Being able to catch out those two were massive. And I love this adjustment. Again, this is consistently off the back of that timeout that they took in round 9. Just being a little bit more heads up about that map control that Hikihimori's been going for and punishing them for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Knives out for NUI. Salvo also tossed. And the flash to allow NUI entry in towards garage. The Steltron also clearing out C long, but the defense has held back, not being seen by any of this. So now they have a chance to walk their way back into the site and try to contest.
Off your feet!
Okay, Rolling Thunder out. Catching one.
Oh,
in the smoke.
Oh, okay. That's a saving play right there. Follow up is good. Airy able to find one through garage, but the site has been compromised. And it's going to be a 4v2 post play.
Exactly where you
Earl have to give it all away as well.
Gonna have to be some sort of a Reddit-worthy clip here to get back into this site.
Oh, the Reddit
Irene's
mention.
still holding. Cubby's gonna be flushed out. Now you got to work this together. If you're a Kikimori, Leah tossing shoulders. Gary's been seen. Easy follow up there. Yeah, you get a reveal if you're Arthur, but it's kind of one of those situations of who cares, because here's all 4 TV members. The fault line to connect. Yeah, Arthur will find one, but it's a shorty to the chest for an 8-4 half. TV in control as we swap the sides.
Hey, a gorgeous last few rounds coming out from TV. The adjustments have been really nice from them. I think that site take was great as well with the util to help make space for NUI to actually get onto that site. And now it's all about
this goes here.
how Hikihimori looked to respond on the attacking side. Again, that neon pick has been a little bit of a nuisance for TV when they were on defense. Again, with that like aggression, that push and pull, just changing up the tempo, and Colby's ability to kind of be places that you aren't quite expecting, given the amount of time that has passed. And looking forward to seeing how Hikihimori are going to be setting up Colby for those entries.
Yeah, pistols have not done well for TV. They did have a thrifty in the first half of this map and a counter response in the anti-eco, but outside of that, these opening 2 rounds have not been great for TV. And if you're a Hikikimori fan, you're hoping that that's the case once again, and we're just running right into dark cover. These are not expecting it. First blood tallied, and the spike plant can come through after that.
Yeah, I think it was, great bait that Hikihimori were using there as well. You were talking about how Colby's consistently that distraction tactic, goes for the tap on pulling out the dart there, and the rest of the team floods in.
Oh, nice right click followed up by Irene. Flash, that's actually well found. Perfect timing. We're out of ammunition though. Doesn't make a difference. TV come away with the retraction. Messy on the site initially as Mizu was just flat out overwhelmed. The snowball turned into an avalanche quickly, but TV quick to get themselves in position. Perfect flash usage from Irene to get the retake and the pistol. First of the series.
Yeah, that's the big shout, right? The first time that you see a pistol round not going the way of Hikihimori, and momentum fully on the side of TV there. The flood initially looked great, but the retake was just so strong from TV. They didn't look to allow Hikihimori to get comfortable whatsoever setting up into that post plant. Now, mid-look here, the shotgun's back shift.
Not surprised. That is kind of my reaction to that hatch. Yeah, Colby, a little parkour to get up and over towards B. Fault line coming through. Up and over the trap wire. Colby is just dancing in sight, but follow-up flashes and salvos isolate, and no one can be there in the sight with Colby. So an early first blood for TV plus C long control has TV feeling pretty confident that they know exactly where this hit is rotating to, and it's through garage to C. Yeah.
Oh, that's breakdown too. Still playing it safe here for TV as well, just showing that respect, waiting to play the numbers advantage as much as possible, not looking to give anything away. They want this to be a clean anti-eco.
So far, so good. Yep, last one's seen by the drone. No worries there for Mizu to take the final 2 in very fast form. So it's a mere plant for Akikimori, but double-digit rounds now for TV, and a true bonus on the way here after the flawless.
Nice looks here for TV for Hikikimori. Shirt managed to go for a little bit of a high-risk, high-reward play. It'll be an upgrade to the judge this time around here for Colby. But the difference, too, is on the Neon versus the Waylay, where we were seeing a lot of those shotgun plays coming out on the attacking side, is with the Neon, you don't have that refract available.
Yeah.
You can't get out of that sight after doing a little bit of that damage. You're fully committed in there.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, again, it's early, but so far from the rounds that we've seen at TV have been really good at making sure that there's not a full flood. Like, Colby may get forward because it's Neon doing Neon things, but no one else has been there with her. Stealth drone out. Able to catch 2. That's good information. Colby's going to have to be forced to hold here for a while longer. That's just an over-aggressive peek. And Leah will punish. A little bit of damage confirmed to be sure, but still 5v4 nonetheless for TV.
And look, Kaide had completely cleared out towards C-Long. You've got a deep camera there as well. It'll be an early read for TV if Hikikimori look to lean towards the left side of the map.
Plus a trap wire just in case. So just solo hold through garage. But anyway, he does get caught by Arthur. A little over peek through sewers. 4v4 weapons still very comfortable for Akikimori. But as they start to rotate over, you're absolutely right. This spy cam and trap wire setup is going to come into play here for TV.
They're super aware of it though. Hikikimori, they heard the cam towards Long. And then it's just all about grouping up and playing together here for the retake on the side of TV.
Wide open sight.
30 seconds left.
Spike plant likely to come behind this. If you're TV with largely Spectres, how do you want to try to get this retake underway? Salvo to pause after shot to clear out logs. Here comes the check on the close corner. But Angel has a chance to at least get the flash out. May not make a difference, but here's perfect timing for Kaide. On the back side of it, it's just completely out teamwork. Does TV find the numbers? Just down to Arthur. 1v2. No, not going to happen. Bulldog retrieved and utilized perfectly for TV to get the reclamation of the C site and get them up to 11.
It really feels like, honestly, kind of night and day between Lotus to Haven. All things considered, Ascent was an incredibly close map, but when we're looking at these protocols from TV, Haven's looking a lot more comfortable than the last map that we just saw them on. The coordination's there. It feels like the floods are, tempo-wise and spacing-wise, much better on the side of TV, and Hikikimori are the ones that are now looking to struggle to find that footing. They've been in control of the tempo, it felt like, even on Ascent, despite how close of a map that was, they were kind of in the driver's seat, I feel like, when it came to the approach to a lot of those rounds. And right now it feels like they have questions and no answers. And
the interesting thing about this particular map in comparison to the other two is, like, it has not really been a duelist show. I mean, you think back to Ascent, we talked about Colby on the Waylay, used as a major distraction force on their executes, setting up the rest of the team. On the flip side, you talk about what NUI was able to do, massive in the first blood count. Even in the most recent map, the raises, obviously instrumental towards playing on the Lotus. But so far here on Haven, we haven't seen that same success. And you brought it up a couple of rounds ago. You're absolutely right, too. Like, Colby doesn't have the same get in, get out freedom that we saw from Ascent, and they're still playing in this very similar style as Ascent in that way. Whereas for NUI, hasn't really been needed, for being honest. Irene's been all over the map, and the information game for Leah's been solid on the Tejo with these stealth drones. So it's like you don't have to just go in and hopefully find a free entry. Like, if you're NUI, you're just hanging out, and now you've got an operator in hand as we start to get to a pivotal point in this map.
Yeah, it really just seems like the game plan is consistently setting up Colby on some of these angles and trying to get them in a little bit deeper to catch you off guard. And NUI, with that first one, looking for the second here too. Oh, the elbow.
And that might be it here in this round. I just don't know what you do and how you execute without your Neon, without your Sova.
The thing is, I don't mind the idea from Hikikimori, right? You know, you set up Colby on those deep lines, get them pretty far pushed up. But my issue is the timing. They don't really ever take like a beat. It's always, okay, I'm here, and now I'm going in. you know, we don't take a second to, you know, cut noise, see if TV are going to really walk into us all that much, where I think that is more of where that type of strategy would shine, actually.
Yeah, and again, this is the first time we've seen Operator play in this map, so like you're not expecting it, and you're not going through your normal protocols of clearing out the angle. So again,
left.
it's just a little bit too free. I mean, after that first blood comes through, Colby doesn't have an exit. Angel doing what she can from inside the site, but it's not much. And oh no, Ash, look at the bank accounts. It is going to be slim pickings for HAKI Mori, trying to get 8 in a row for overtime in the face of just bank accounts that you could ship to the Grand Caymans if you're TV. I mean, they are so healthy across the board with key ultimates right around the corner on top of that.
Yeah, and taking a timeout here as well. Just
It's ice in the kicker.
Oh yeah, they're like, yeah, we're closing it out after this round. Let's talk about this, and let's just let's get this best of three out of the way and put it to bed. I think that, yeah, I know that with the Operator it's a little bit of a different story, but I think that even despite that op, it's kind of just been the pattern that we've seen from HAKI Mori. You know, in that situation, sure, Colby doesn't really have any other option to get out, but it's been that story of, okay, let's get Colby inserted over towards B. Let's get, you know, set up with so much utility to get Colby inside garage, deep into C, deep into A, and not always having necessarily the follow-up of HAKI Mori, because it's not the plan to always go on like a deep execution off of it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, Colby can get one and maybe get out, or just go for a trade or something like that. But again, it's just very telegraphed, and TV, I think, have the idea that, okay, if Colby is showing there, Colby's probably going to make a move sometime soon to get a little bit more aggressive instead of playing a little bit more of that long game, waiting on that timer and trying to draw out a couple more rotations.
Well, TV, after 8 in a row, that timeout might be one of those sit and wallow in your misery moments, just kind of putting a little bit of extra pain into HAKI Mori, but they'll be happy to utilize that timeout as maybe a chance to get another round here. The purchase actually is not as bad as you might figure, considering that they were left underneath 500 credits from the last round, but there are some light armors in play here. And you're still going up against the force of an Operator and obviously full rifles, so it's got to be perfect, whatever it is here for HAKI Mori.
But it does. They haven't been able to find a single round here on attack so far. Granted, it's only been 4 that we've actually played through, but and 2 of those being, you know, a pistol and anti-eco. But regardless, a different approach this time. HAKI Mori have slowed things down. They realize, okay, that high octane initial round start hasn't been panning out for us too well.
And the other side of this is, like, this is a smart play from HAKI Mori to slow the game down, because the ability for TV to gain information is really only off Tejo's stealth zone. So you're just going to keep him guessing a little while longer. Sia on the lure, can't decide if they want the ADS or not, and then Colby once again, the shotgun antics not going to work out. Angel trying to get a flash out to do something, but the help is there. It's a flawless round. And a long series comes to a quick end as TV will 13-4 the decider on Haven and find a 1-0 start to their Swiss stage here in Game Changers NA.
Really nicely done from them. It felt like Haven looked like a clinic coming out from TV. So a great bounce back considering how Lotus had been going so heavily in favor of HAKI Mori. It didn't really slow down that ability for TV to turn it around mentally, and you've really got to give them kudos to it, because I think you look towards this matchup here as well, and I believe that looking over towards the likes of HAKI Mori, this is a team that you would expect, okay, they made it to the top 8 within the kickoff, is expected to be a bit more of the higher seed in that regard here in this head-to-head matchup. So I feel like this is also a great confidence game for TTV to be starting off the Swiss stage with this W.
And again, as mentioned from before, plenty of things to go back and look over to try to get more polished, as there's a week between games, so plenty of time to get yourself cleaned and polished up. But still, like you mentioned, starting off 1-0 in a Swiss stage always feels great and sets you up for success to try to get qualified for playoffs as fast as humanly possible. But that's going to do it for map number 3. We will still have the Verizon post-match interview on the backside of the break, so don't go far. We're going to step away. We come back, our post-game reactions and our Verizon post-match interview.
The human body was built to move. Not trapped at a desk in one singular posture for 12 hours a day. It's time your chair evolved. This is Secretlab Titan Evo. Ergonomically engineered for you, gamers, hybrid workers, artists, backing your every move.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome back there, friends. We're in our first match recap and analysis before we get to our Verizon post-match interview. And I mean, we kind of already talked about it in certain ways, Ash. I think the biggest thing about this are a win's a win, Lots of work still to be done, though, for TV when it comes to cleaning things up, I think, especially in the mid-round, and maybe even more particular, what we're doing in post-plans.
No, for sure. I think that we did see the adaptations throughout the series, though, and I do want to give them credit that I think looking from Ascent to Lotus to Haven, it felt like they just continued to get better when it came to how snappy those mid-round adaptations were coming in and the adjustments for this squad. And it was quite the blowout, as you can see on this Haven map. They end the half 8-4, and HAKI Mori were not able to find a single round on that attacking side. The adjustments coming a little bit too late out of them, and for TV, they looked great on attack. I think those post plant numbers being 8 and 12 on those when you do get that spike secured is massive, and it says a lot about how they were looking to actually set up and the differences from what we saw in Lotus.
Yeah, really, it's just round 4, round 5 that I think if you're TV, you look back at those and say, all right, this should have been a 13-2. But 9 in a row is 9 in a row, no matter how you frame it up. So great stuff out of TV to come through the decider matchup and again start their Swiss stage off 1-0. Most importantly, again, just how they get it done here in map number 3. And I think it's appropriate that we do get Irene as the MVP, because not just the overall KD ratio being solid, but throughout this entire series, Irene's presence on the map was felt. I mean, we're talking high assist numbers on Ascent. Same for Lotus. Just getting the job done on this breach on all 3 maps. Really solid set of games from Irene.
I really do love that shout, because I think that she just had so much impact for the team, and being able to, set up NUI on a lot of those deep angles, and even just in those post plants, the combinations with Leah as well have just been sublime. And I think that there's just so much value, and you can see the fact that she's sticking on that breach for most of the maps that we're seeing coming out from them, and that how that prowess really does make a difference here for the side of TV.
Indeed the case. Well, with that recap now coming to a conclusion, we head to our Verizon post-match interview with TV and Mizu. Welcome. Good to see you, kind of.
Hi.
Take me through. I mean, hey, first win, starting the Swiss stage off 1-0. That's got to be huge confidence boosting for the squad.
Yeah, I'm very proud of my team. They played well. I'm very happy.
I mean, you played really well as well. Like, you had some insane moments where I think we were seeing a couple multi-kills from you. But I think one thing that I really want to ask about, actually, is obviously Ascent was a really close map. Things got dicey on Lotus. But then Haven was a stunning map from you guys, and it felt like after that timeout that you took in round 9, you guys were just able to continuously chain together that momentum. I'm curious to see what you guys actually talked about during that timeout, and what really made that difference for you guys to kind of just carry through and win the rest of the map.
A lot of our timeouts are, 1, just thinking about what we're going to do in the next round, and 2, literally just chilling, breathing, coming back together, resetting the mindset after a difficult round, for example. Yeah, just staying zen. It works for us.
Well, I'm sure that chilling was a freedomly way to put that last time out you guys just took. We'll let that kind of sit in its own world. But kind of talk to me about the team dynamic, because Ash and I were kind of looking at some of the maybe problem spots that you guys were starting to face. Maybe some things when it comes to mid-round adaptations, even after you've maybe found a first blood, or in particular some post-plant follies, whether that's you guys on defense trying to find a retake or hold early, like round 4, round 5 in this Haven. Looked like you guys had a perfect setup on execute, but things kind of fell apart. Where would you kind of pinpoint some of the trouble spots when it comes to the mid-round so far in your guys' game?
We get very excited and we overcrowd our comms a lot. That's especially why the chilling is important. So we just take a deep breath and not overstimulate each other. But once we get the flow back, it's hard to stop us.
Hey, that's totally fair. I mean, you also gotta hype things up and everything like that when you're in Call 2 to keep that momentum going. But it can definitely get chaotic at times. So it's also nice to hear that you guys already have that kind of in mind as far as just being able to go for that reset. And then I guess I'm also curious to see, I feel like when you were playing up against Hikihimori, I don't know. I guess it's a 2-in-1 question. I don't know how much prep you guys did up against Hikihimori, if you're more focused on your own gameplay as opposed to looking at what other teams are doing. And then 2, how did you guys feel playing up against, I guess, like the hyper aggression, I think, on defense that we saw often from Hikihimori. Especially on Ascent, it felt like that waylay was always really annoying to deal with at times because of the going in and then being able to like dash back out afterwards. So just curious on your thoughts there.
Well, prep-wise, we just work on our team synergy. Like, we're fairly new, you know, we've only been competing for a month, probably. So not much, like, anti-strat or looking into other teams. We're just trying to build us as a core, like, have a good foundation for us going into these games. And just aggression-wise, like, we're thinking about it in the buy phase. We're thinking what they're going to do, and we're trying to figure it out mid-round as it happens.
Well, Mizu, final thing, I think, you know, in terms of setting up where the audience is taking their attention, a lot of focus towards teams like Shopify and FlyQuest, but obviously with the background that you and your team have, lots of eyes following you guys as well. Anything you want to share with the fans out there that were rooting you guys on through these first 3 maps before we send you away?
Thank you for supporting us, and we're going to keep trying our best during Swiss stage. TV win! Woo!
TV win woo. Okay, there we go. That's the Verizon post-match interview. Humbling from Mizu, to be sure, and answers again a lot of our questions that we had, kind of considering some of the follies that we had seen. So heck of a way to start, and we always say it, starting off 1-0 is a brilliant way to do it, Ash.
No, it absolutely is. And I also love like the vibes that we're getting from the squad as well. It's like that was such a great interview to have from Mizu. She's super humble too, because you know she was popping off on Haven. I don't know, which she like giving kudos to the rest of the team for playing well, but she was killing it as well. I cannot wait to see how this team continues to grow if they're just, you know, ironing things out here with that 1 month together.
Big stuff so far. 1-0 is always great news, but that's not it for us this evening. We're going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, we'll be reset and ready to go for YFPX taking on Kasuku Band. Should be a fun one, looking to see if YFP is worth the hype. We'll find out when we come back in the backside of the break.